Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this dress here. It buttons in the front. It's got the ruffles that are kind of set in the back a little bit, I guess, at the bottom. And a ruffly collar and ruffly sleeves. Not extremely very poofy sleeves, but just roughly short sleeves. This didn't really come out how I envisioned it, but I still think it came out pretty good. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, this dress can be made in 3 sizes just by adjusting the hook. So if you want it for a size 2T, which is the average size 2-year-old, you want to use a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. If you want it for a 3T, which is average size 3-year-old, you want to use a 5 millimeter crochet hook. And for a 4T, you want to use a I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Exact same pattern, just change the hook sizes. I'm actually doing mine for a 3T. I know my daughter's not even quite 2 yet, but she's pretty thick, so she's in a size 3 now. So, but anyways, those 3 sizes for those hooks, you just follow the same pattern. Okay, for this project, I use Caron Simply Soft, which this is 100% 4-ply acrylic. You don't have to use this type of yarn, but any type of 4-ply yarn will work. The color I use, the main color I use is called chocolate. Now, if you think that's too dark, you can use a different color. But there are 315 yards per skein. Now, I went through a solid 2 skeins. So if you're a tight crocheter, you might, or you're using a bigger hook size, you might need to get another skein to be on the safe side, because it is close. I don't even know if I even had this very hardly any left of that. And then I got some off-white of the same brand for the edging, and 1 skein will be enough regardless of what hook you use for that. And then you will need 6 buttons. I use these little gold roses, which I found at Walmart in the button aisle, and they come 3 to a pack, and they are 5/8 inch buttons. Now you could probably go, that's about the size you want. You could probably go just a little bit bigger, maybe, probably not no smaller than that. But 6 of those, whatever type of buttons that you choose. Now I got to point out, the base of the dress is the same that I used for my sailor dress. Now if you haven't seen that and you haven't made that, I'll put a link to that on the screen now too, because it's really cute. But the base is the same. So you're going to see, I'm going to use the same video just for the beginning part, because I didn't want to have to record it since I already had it recorded. So you're going to see me using blue yarn in the beginning. So don't mind that. It's just follow along with me. But I actually used brown. But in the beginning of the video, it's going to be me using blue. And then later on, I'm going to cut in and start using my brown. So I just didn't want to confuse you when you see me using a different color yarn. So, okay, you want to start off with a chain of 64. And that's regardless of what size hook you use. The whole pattern is going to be the same. So you get your chain of 64 done. And what we're going to do is put 1 double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I apologize for the dark yarn, but sailor's dresses are always, most of the time, blue. So in the 4th stitch from the hook. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now what we're going to do is do a chain of 2, 1 and 2, and now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches. So just go right into the next stitch, and that'll be number 1, and you want to do 14. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Okay, once you get your 14 stitches there, now you want to chain 2 again, and starting in the next stitch we're going to put 1 double crochet again in the next 14 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once you get your 14 stitches done again, we're going to repeat that again by chaining 2, and in the next stitch 1 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 1 double crochet in 14 stitches. So this will be our first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, once you got your 14 stitches again, we're going to chain 2, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the remaining stitches. You should have 10 stitches left, so 1 double crochet into the last 10 stitches. Okay, once you make it to the end of row 1, you can look and see what we got here. We have the 10 stitches on the end, chain 2, 14 with the chain 2, 14, chain 2, 14, chain 2, and then we did the 8. We'll have 10 total here on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's the one that the 9th one is the one we double crocheted in the 4th stitch from the hook, and then this little chain here at the end counts as our 10th stitch. So we got 10 on each of the ends and 14 in between each of the other ones. So you should have a total of 62 stitches at the end of round 1. Okay, for round 2 I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work. Now I'm going to put 1 double crochet right back into that very first stitch. Now if you prefer to chain 3 instead of doing it this way, that is fine too. I know a lot of people chain 3 instead of doing it and making that their double crochet instead of doing it this way, and either way will work just fine. I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet right back into the same stitch, and now I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 9 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 9. Now counting that very first double crochet, you'll have 10 there. Now we're going to be working in this chain 2 space, and what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 double crochets right into the space. There's 1 and 2, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to go back into the same space and put 2 more double crochets. Just like that. So it was 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 doubles into that chain space. And now we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches, and it'll be till you get to your next chain space. And you want to make sure you get this very first stitch, pull these over, because sometimes it hides. So 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches. Okay, I just did my 14th stitch and I'm at my next chain 2 space, and what I'm going to do is put my 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2 and 2 more doubles right into that same space, just like that. And again, I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the next 14 stitches, and then I'll be at my next chain 2 space. Okay, I've made it to my next chain 2 space, and again in my chain 2 I'm going to put 2 doubles, chain 2 and 2 more doubles, and then I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 14 stitches, or until I get to my next chain 2 space. Okay, I've made it to my next, or my last chain 2 space here. I'm going to put 2 doubles, a chain of 2, and then 2 more double crochets into that same spot. And now I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the last 10 stitches. You'll have 10 left. Okay, when you make it to the end, your 10th stitch is going to go into this little chain here on the end. So just go right into the top of it for your last stitch. And you should have a total of 78 stitches, and then you'll have your 4 chain 2 spaces at the end of round or row 2. In row 3, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, working 1 double crochet right back into the very first stitch, like that. And now I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the next 11 stitches. So counting this one, we'll have a total of 12. Okay, I've made it to the first chain 2 space. And again, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. That's 1, 2, a chain of 2, and 2 more double crochets, all into the same chain space. Now I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 18 stitches. It'll be 18 stitches until you get to your next chain 2 space. So go ahead and start. Okay, I made it to my next chain 2 space, and I'm going to go into it and I'm going to put 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. And again, I'm going to put 1 double crochet into my next 18 stitches, which will take me to my next chain 2 space. Okay, next chain 2 space, 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. And again, 1 double crochet into the next 18 stitches, which will bring you to your next chain 2 space. Okay, I've made it to my last chain 2 space, and I'm going to go into it and put 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. And now I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet into my last 12 stitches. You should have 12 stitches left. So go ahead and put 1 double crochet in each of those. Okay, I've made it to the end, and now at the end of row 3 you should have a total of 94 stitches plus your 4 chain 2 spaces. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet right back into that same stitch, very first one, and now I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 13 stitches. Counting this one, it'll be 14. So this would be number 1. And there'd be 2, 3, 4. Okay, I made it to my first chain 2 space, so I'm going to do 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. And now I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 22 stitches, which will bring me to my next chain 2 space. Okay, I made it to my next chain 2 space. Go on into it and put 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets into that same spot. And now again, it's 1 double crochet in these next 22 stitches until you get to your next chain 2 space. Okay, next chain 2 space, 2 doubles. So this has been a pretty easy pattern so far. Chain 2, 2 more doubles, one double crochet now into the next 22 stitches again until you reach your next chain 2 spot. Okay, I have made it to my last chain 2 space, so I'm going to do my chain 2 double crochets, sorry, chain 2 and 2 doubles. And now I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet in these last 14 stitches until I get to the end here. Okay, I've made it to the end of row 4, and you should have a total of 110 stitches now. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to start row 5, and we're going to start it the same way by double crocheting right back into the very first stitch. And now you should have, counting this one, 16 stitches until you get to your first chain space. So you want to double crochet in all of them. This counts as number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I made it to my first chain 2 space, and I'm going to put 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. So now what I'm going to do is 1 double crochet in the next 26 stitches until I get to my next chain 2 space. And then when I get there, I'm going to put 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then it'll be 26 stitches again until you get to your next chain 2 space. It's 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then 26 stitches one more time until you get to your last chain 2 space, and I'll meet you here at the last chain 2 space. So there's 26 stitches in between each of these chain 2 spaces, and you make sure and put your 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in each of the chain corner spaces. Okay, I've made it all the way around to my last chain 2 space. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles in that space. And now I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet in the remaining 16 stitches. Okay, when you make it to the end of row 5, you should have a total of 126 stitches all the way around. And this is what it starts to look like. Now, it's going to button in the front, so it's going to have a little bit of an overlap, a 3-stitch overlap. 3 stitches on this side and 3 stitches on this side. So, and that's where the buttons are going to be. And this will be the back. Okay, but now we're going to make the armholes. So, row 6. We're going to start by chaining 1 and turning our work. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet right back into that very first stitch, and we want to put 1 double crochet in the first 18 stitches, so this counts as number 1. So we'll go ahead and do the rest of them, and then that'll take us to our first chain 2 space. Okay, our first 18 stitches brought us to our first chain 2 space. Now what we're going to do in this first chain 2 space is we're just going to put 2 double crochets in it, and that's it. Just 2 double crochets. And now we're going to skip all these stitches until our next chain 2 space, and it should be a total of 30 stitches that you're skipping. So what you do is you just kind of fold it and come right over here to this next chain 2 space, and we're going to put 2 double crochets into this space. So there's 1 and 2. So that formed our first armhole, those 30 stitches that we skipped. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet in each of these 30 stitches here, and that'll bring us to the next chain 2 space. So this chain 2 space only got 2 double crochets. That's it, nothing else. And now we're just going to continue putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to our next chain space. Okay, I did my 30 stitches there across the front, and I'm at my next chain 2 space, and again I'm only going to put 2 double crochets in there, and that's it, just 2 double crochets. And now I'm going to skip these next 30 stitches to my next chain 2 space, so I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to put 2 double crochets into that next chain 2 space. So I'm skipping all those stitches, and I'm just going to put 2 doubles into that space. That's it, nothing else, 2 doubles, and that was our second armhole formed. And now I'm just going to finish out by putting 1 double crochet in the remaining 18 stitches. So that was pretty easy. Armholes are pretty easy to do. Okay, you should have 74 stitches at the end of row 6, and there is your armholes formed. Now what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn. Now I'm going to do 3 rows of just putting 1 double crochet in every stitch, and it should be 74 stitches at the end of each of them rows. We're not counting these 30 that we skipped, we're just counting along them. So these we'll come back to later. We're not going to do nothing with them right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet back into that first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the other side. Apologize, my lighting's not the best. I'm trying to get new lighting, but it's not cheap, so trying to save up for it. So just like this. And when you make it here to where your armhole spaces are, you just put 1 double crochet in the stitches right along. You'll be able to see them real good. See, it's just, we're not doing anything with these stitches up here. It's just like that. It's just 1 double in every stitch until you get to the other side. Okay, I made it to the end of row 7 of just putting 1 double crochet in every stitch. And again, I'm just going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. So rows 7, 8, and 9 are just going to be 1 double crochet in every stitch, and you'll have 74 stitches at the end of each one of those rows. Rows 7, 8, and 9, 1 double crochet every stitch, 74 stitches at the end of each row. So I'm going to go ahead and I just finished row 7, I'm on row 8, and then I'm going to finish row 9, and then we'll start row 10. Okay, I just finished row 9. So I had my 7, 8, and 9, which is just 1 double crochet in every stitch, and it was 74 stitches at the end of every row. Okay, for row 10, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to increase a little bit so the bottom of the dress looks a little fuller and not just straight down. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, starting on row 10 now. And I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the very first stitch, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, like that. So those 3 stitches are my buttonhole row that we talked about earlier. So now I'm going to start a repeat of increasing. So I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So actually it's 1 double crochet into the first 4. But this first double crochet count starts as a repeat. And then I'm going to put 2 double crochets into the next. 2 into the same stitch. And then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the next, 1 double into the next stitch, and 2 doubles into the next, 1 double into the next stitch, and 2 doubles into the next. And that's the repeat we're going to repeat. 1 double and then 2 doubles. We're going to repeat this all the way across until we get to our last 3 stitches over here. So I'm going to repeat this, the 1 double, 2 double, 1 double, 2 double, all the way across until I get to my last 3. And I'll meet you over here at the last 3 stitches. Okay, I've made it to my last 3 stitches. My last stitch was 2 double crochets, and then there's 3 stitches left. I'm just going to put 1 double crochet in each of those. Now you should have a total of 108 stitches now at the end of round 10. Okay, what we're going to do for row 11 is we're just going to repeat row 10. So we're just going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to put 1 double crochet in these first three. So the very first one, we're just repeating what we did on row 10. And then we start our repeat by 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the next. One double into the next, and then 2 into the next. So it's just a repeat of the last row, and you repeat that 1 double, 2 double, 1 2 double, 2 double until you get to your last 3 stitches. And when you get to your last 3 stitches, it's just 1 double crochet in each of those. So just repeat row 10. Okay, at the end of row 11, you should have 159 stitches. And now we're not going to increase anymore. What we're going to do is chain 1 and turn. And now it's just going to be 1 double crochet in every stitch. So we'll just put 1 double crochet. We're always going to chain 1 and turn, put 1 double crochet into the same stitch, and then 1 double crochet in every stitch. We're starting row 12 now. And we're going to do this 1 double crochet in every stitch. Okay, after you get 32 rows done, that's starting from the very beginning all the way down, you want to stop at 32 and you want to clip your yarn off. And that's what I did. Now we're going to do some edging around the bottom. Now I did some around a sleeve, so this is what it's going to kind of look like, because I started on one of my sleeves, but we'll get to that later. We're going to go ahead and do that on the bottom. Now the reason why I clip my yarn is because it's worked in front and back loops. And what we're going to do is start right here on this side where you clipped your yarn. I'm going to be working in the back loops with my white color. And then we'll go back and work in the front loops with the dark color, but it's just easier to do the back loops first. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start in the same stitch that we just stopped in and put your hook through the back loop, and then we'll chain 1. I'm going to go ahead and try to hide that tail. Now I'll wait. Now I'm going to go right back into that same stitch and put a single crochet. Remember, we're only working in the back loops, so go right into that and put a single crochet. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, back loops only, all the way across until I get to the other side. So the front loops are still visible, and we will work in them, but it's just easier to work the back loops first. So 1 single crochet, back loops only, until all the way around until you get over here to the other side. Okay, once you make it to the end, you should have 159 single crochets, and remember, they're in the back loop, so we have the front loop still visible. And what we're going to do when we get to the end is tie this off, because if I was to turn my work and work the opposite way, the next row that I'm about to do, the stitches would be facing the wrong way. So I tie it off. I know it's kind of a hassle to have to tie it off. Makes you have more tails, but it'll look nicer in the end. So you just tie it off, and then you come back over here where you first started, right here, and we'll start again with the same color. And we're going to work in that first single crochet. We're going to work through both loops of this row. So go through both loops of that very first single crochet and start your yarn. Now I'm going to start with a chain 1, and I'm going to go into the same stitch, and I'm going to work a double crochet, a chain 1, again another double crochet, a chain 1, and one more time a double crochet, and a chain 1. So that was double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. And that's what I'm going to do in every stitch until I get to the end. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and going through both loops, remember. Double crochet, chain 1. 3 times. So that was 1, double crochet, chain 1. That's 2. And again, double crochet, chain 1. That was 3 times. So I'm going to go to the next stitch and I'm going to repeat that. Double crochet, chain 1. That's 1 time. Double crochet, chain 1. That's 2 times. Double crochet, chain 1. That's 3 times. And I'm going to do that in every single stitch until I get to the other side. And that's going to make it really roughly down here at the bottom. Go to my next stitch and repeat it. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, one more time, double crochet, chain 1. And then you can see the more you do, it'll start to get really roughly. So I'm going to do that all the way across and I'll meet you at the last stitch. Okay, I'm coming to the end. Here's my last one. So I want to go ahead and do my double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and I'm not going to chain 1 after that one. I'm just going to tie it off and hide that tail, which I'll do here in just a little bit. So there's part of the bottom is super ruffly right out here so you can see it kind of. Now we're going to work in these front loops. So I'm going to start down here again where we started before with the white. But now we're going to be working in the front loops of dark. So I'm going to get my dark back out. And I'm going to start in the very first stitch, front loop of it. That's all it's left is front loops. And I'm going to start my yarn there. Chain 1, go right back into that front loop and single crochet. And now it's just 1 single crochet in every stitch across, front loops only. And that's all that will be there is the front loop. That's all that you should be able to see is that 1 loop here. And that's what we're going to do. 1 single on every stitch until we get to the other side. Just like we did on the beginning of the last of the white edging. Just like that. So I'll meet you at the other end. Okay, when you make it to the end there, you just want to just clip your yarn and tie off, and you should have 159 single crochets there. So that's all I'm going to do down here at the bottom. Now it's okay if these little edges flip over like that, because when the dress is buttoned up together, they're going to line up, so that's not going to matter whenever it's going to overlap, and you won't even be able to tell that they're flapped over like that. So that's fine. But that's all I'm going to do at the bottom of my dress. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an edging on it. So put the dress like this. Lay it out where it's facing you like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start right here, kind of where we left off just now. And I'm going to work my way up and around the neck like this, and all the way back down the other side, edging it with single crochet. That's to clean up all the edges. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Okay, I'm going to use my brown yarn again. I'm going to start just kind of right here where we left off. Okay, now here's the stitch that we left off in. So I'm going to go right here and start my yarn. And I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet like that. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet, or 2 single crochets, I'm sorry, to every double crochet up the side of this dress. Now it's not easy to see, but you just kind of evenly space out your single crochets. So every time you see a double crochet here on the side, you want to put work 2 single crochets through it. So there's 1, go to the next one, and that's 2 in that one. And now the next one right here, you want to go and work 2 single crochets through that one. 1. Just do your best. It's not going to be perfect. You're probably not going to have the exact same number as me, but just continue working. 2 single crochets to every double crochet all the way up this side of the dress, and see, that cleans the dress up real nice. And I'll meet you right up here at the top before we start going around the collar. Okay, I've made it all the way up the side. You can see my edges are nice and clean now. So I'm up here and I just put 2 single crochets to this double crochet up here. Now I'm going to work around the top. Now this very first stitch here, kind of where the knot's at, you want to go ahead and go into that very first one and put 3 single crochets in it, and that'll make the corner of the collar lay down nice. So you go and put 3 in there, and now you just work around putting 1 single crochet to every stitch of the collar. Just right around like this. And even when you get over here to this chain 2 space, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right here, you still just put 1 single crochet in each of these stitches. You just ignore that space. Do not do anything special there. And that's the same on the other space too. So I'm going to continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch here around the collar, and I'll meet you on the other side at the end of the collar before we start going down. I'll meet you right over here before we start going down here. Okay, I'm coming around to the other side. I'm at the top of the collar. So what I want to do in this last stitch is put 3 single crochets in it, just like we did on the other side. And now I'm going to work my way down this side of the dress, working 2 single crochets to every double, just like we did on the opposite side. So we're just doing the same thing that we did over there. And remember, it's not going to be perfect because stitches are hard to see sometimes. Hard to get in them just right. But just do your best to evenly spaced out. 2 single crochets to every double all the way down till you get down here to the end of the dress. Okay, when you make it down here to the end and do your last single crochet, what you want to do is just kind of see this single crochet over here on the line of the edging. Just slip stitch into that first single crochet here, and that'll just kind of make them, and then tie off. Kind of look like it's together a little bit, I guess. That's not really necessary for you to do that, but just like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and hide some of my tails real quick. Okay, now we're going to work the sleeves. So this is what where we're going to start. Right here, hold it up here. Starting with my dark brown color. You can start whatever color you want. Here is the chain 2 space there. And then there's one here. Up here are the 30 stitches that we skipped. Okay, we're going to start into this first chain 2 space right there. So go ahead and start your yarn and chain 1, and then go right back into that chain 2 space and do a double crochet. Now the next place we're going to put a stitch is, you see this side of this double crochet here, we're going to put 1 through the side of this double crochet like that, and the next stitch is going to go right here in this spot. And that next stitch, not this little hole here that you kind of see, that's still the side of that double, this stitch right here. So go right into it, double crochet. The next stitch is going to be right here where this next stitch is, so we just put double crochet right through there. And now we'll be at the side of the next double crochet right here. Just work 1 stitch kind of through the side of it, just anywhere you can, like that. And then the next spot will be this chain 2 space. Work 1 stitch through the chain 2 space. So to start out with, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. And now what we're going to do is work 1 double crochet in each of the 30 stitches that we skipped. So remember to get this very first one. Sometimes it hides under this double crochet like that and you don't see it, and you go to the next one, pull it over and make sure you get that one like that. And now it's 1 double in each of these 30 skipped stitches until you get back to the beginning. And when you get back to the beginning, you'll have a total of 36 stitches for row or round 1 of the sleeve. Okay, when you make it back around on your first round of the sleeve and you got your 36 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch into your first double crochet. Not that chain 1, but the first double. And that'll end round 1. Now what we're going to do is do rounds of 1 double crochet in every stitch. So we're going to chain 1, start every round by chaining 1 and double crocheting right back into that same stitch. And then I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch around. And we're working on round 2 right now. We want to do a total of 5 rounds on the sleeve. So this is number 1 we just did. We're on number 2. We want to work until we get 5 rounds done. And it's just 1 double crochet in every stitch. And at the end, you'll always have 36 stitches. You just end with the slip stitch in your first double crochet and start again. So I'm going to work until I get to finish round number 5. I'm on round number 2 right now. So I'm going to keep going until I get to finished with round 5. Okay, I got my 5 rows done. Counting that very first row, I've done 5. So now I'm going to do a row of decreases. So what I'm going to do is chain 1, and I'm going to go right back into that same stitch and double crochet. And now I'm going to do a double crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. Then I'm going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through all 3. So that's a double crochet decrease. And now I'm going to work that again over the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to yarn over, go in to the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through all 3. So I did a double crochet into the very first stitch and then 2 double crochet decreases. And now I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And then I'm going to do 2 sets of double crochet decreases. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through all 3. So that's 1 double crochet decrease. Next stitch, yarn over, go into it, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through all 3. So that was 2 double crochet decreases. So again, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 sets of double crochet decreases. 1 double in the next, and then 2 sets of double crochet decreases, all the way around until I get back to the beginning. Okay, I've made it back around, and I did 2 double crochet decreases in a row, and you should have 1 stitch left. Just go ahead and double crochet into that last stitch, and you should have 22 stitches now. End with the slip stitch into your first double crochet, and then tie that off. And we're going to do the edging like we did at the bottom. So I'm going to start, it's easier just to do the inside first. So I'm going to start in that stitch where I left off here, but I'm going to be working in the back loop only. So I'm going to go into the back loop like that, start my edge, my white yarn, chain 1, go back into that same stitch and do a single crochet. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch across, working in the back loops only. We'll come back and do the front loops after we finish doing what we're going to do to the back loops here. Just like this. So 1 single in the back loops only all the way around, and you should have 22 stitches when you make it back around. Okay, I've made it back around, so I'm going to go ahead and end with the slip stitch into my first single crochet. I'm going through both loops now. I won't be going just through the back loop like that. And I got 21 single crochets. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the same stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do another double crochet into the same stitch, chain 1, and then 1 more double crochet into the same stitch and chain 1. So just like what we did at the bottom, we're going to do around the sleeves. So I'm going to jump to the next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, and you want to do that 3 times. So that was 1, double crochet, chain 1, that was 2, double crochet, chain 1, that was 3. And I'm going to do that in every single stitch until I get back to the beginning. Just like that. And that's going to create that ruffle. So go ahead and finish that all the way back around. Okay, when you make it over here to the end, you want to make sure you chain 1 after that last double crochet, and then go ahead and end with the slip stitch into your first double crochet, and then you can tie that off. And now we'll take the brown yarn, and we're going to work in these front loops here that we didn't work into before. So we can start in any one of those front loops here, just the 1 loop, go into it and chain 1, go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now it's 1 single crochet in each one of those front loops that we didn't work before. That's all it is. It's just 1 single crochet in each one of those loops. And when you get back around to the beginning, you can see the loops that we're going into. We should have 22 stitches. Okay, when you make it back around and you got your 22 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch into your first single crochet. Not that chain 1, but the first single. Slip stitch through both loops. And then tie that off, and then we can hide that tail. Now both sleeves are made the exact same, so you can go ahead and do the other sleeve the same way. Pull this out, and that's what it looks like. It's all ruffly there. Okay, now I'm going to work on the collar here. Now I've already sewed a button up here on the very first row, because we're not going to make the collar, we're only going to make the collar come to about here. That way when this flaps over and buttons, the collar will be here, but it won't be back here. That way it's not so thick and flappy. But we're going to do it kind of similar to the bottom. Okay, we're going to start. Okay, remember when we put the 3 stitches in the corner up here? We're going to start in that middle one. And we're going to go through both loops this time. I'm not going to go just through one. I'm going to go through both. I'm going to pull my yarn through. And remember, you want your piece facing just like this. And I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to go in this very first stitch. I'm going to go back through and put 1 double crochet. So in the very first one, it's just going to get 1 double crochet. Now the next one, you want to chain 1 after that, and the next one's going to get 1 double crochet, a chain 1, and 1 more double crochet, and a chain 1. So the first one was 1 double crochet. Turn that down. The first one was 1 double crochet with a chain 1, and the second stitch was double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Now the rest of them are going to be like they were at the bottom. Go in, double crochet, chain 1, and you want to do that 3 times. So that was 1, all in the same stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 2, and then double crochet, chain 1, and that's 3. And we're going to do that all the way across the whole collar here. Remember, we're going through both loops, not just one. So there's double crochet, chain 1, that's 1. Go into the same stitch again. Double crochet, chain 1, that's 2. One more time. Double crochet, chain 1, and that's 3. And I'm going to do that all the way around the back until I get over to here. And I'll meet you over here and I'll show you where to stop. But just continue that. 3 double crochets with chain 1s in between them into each stitch. Okay, I'm coming over here to the other side, and here is, you want to come to the middle stitch of your group of 3 again. So right here, and you want to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. So I've done my double crochet, chain 1 3 times up until the those last 6 stitches from the center. So now what I want to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the 6th one over, I did my chain 1 there. I want to do a double crochet, chain 1, a double crochet, chain 1. So that was only 2 that time. And then the 5th one over from the middle, I'm just going to put 1 double crochet. And I'm going to tie it off. So now, and hide that tail. So now what I have is I left a little space there for when this flaps over for the button. Show you like that. So it kind of matches up okay. Pretty good, I guess. So I'm going to go and hide this tail real quick. Okay, so now what you want to do is just sew on your buttons with some regular thread, matching thread. I didn't have no brown, I used black, and a thread needle. Now you want to sew 1 on at the very first row right here where your collar flaps over. You count in. What I did is I counted in. Let me brighten this up a little bit. I counted in 1, 2 double crochets. This one counts as 1, the one that we've attached all these single crochets to. 1, 2, and I sewed it in between the 2nd and the 3rd double crochet. So you can see here's 1, 2, so it's sewed in between this one and the next one. And then I skipped 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I sewed my next one in between the 2nd and the 3rd double crochet. And then again, I skipped 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sewed in the next row in between the second and the third double crochet, and you just do that all the way down. Skip 5, and then in the next row you sew your in between the second and the third. So when you get down to the bottom, you'll have 1 row that remains with no button on it, and then you'll have that row of single crochet too. So you'll need your 6 buttons, and then you just take them and you line them up on the other side here, and that's, you use in between the second and the third double crochet, and you use that as your buttonhole, like that. And you get the right row, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the next row in between the second and the third, and you use that as your buttonhole. And we do this all the way down. Count down again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the next row in between the second and the third double crochet, and that'll be your buttonhole. And that's it, once you get them all sewed on. Now if you want to add any ribbon or anything, you can. That is up to you. That's all there is to it. It's kind of big, so I can't really lay it out that well. I don't know, thought about sewing that on there because it matches really well, but I haven't decided. I guess you'll see in the beginning if I do it or not, but I probably won't. But that's it, that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check me out on Facebook, or if you make this or anything else, you can always post a picture of it. I'd love to see a picture of it. I'll put a link to my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page below. Also, you can check me out on Instagram. Check below too in the description box for the link to where you can get the written pattern for this. But that's it, and until next time, have a good day.